Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is November 9th, 2023, 8:45 a.m. Another day, another chance to open the market. We've got some breaking news, folks. We've got some breaking news, and I am going to be learning about this breaking news with you all live today. And this breaking news has to do with Palantir. Now, I have not tweeted about the Palantir deal yet because I am even trying to figure out if it is real. So we are literally going to read together on this article that is from digitalhealth.net. Digital Health is one of the premier publications in the UK. And we will put out the tweet together if it seems like it's legit. Twitter is going crazy over the deal, saying that we got the deal and that it's done around the NHS. That's what I'm talking about. I think it is done, but the problem is there's nothing been official reported by the actual NHS or Palantir yet. So that's why I'm a little scared to fully go ahead and do it, but it does seem like it's done. And it seemed like, not too bad at all. So let me just send this here. Okay, cool. So here we go. This is the, let me just see who's in the chat and then we'll get started. Sethy Roth, Mr. Seymour Duck, Robert Sanchez. Hello from Kansas. Hello. Thank you for being here. Imnop, Missy, Craft Jan, Broccoli Bob, Bay Ray, Tobor, Miami Ren, Stefan, Arjun, from the Netherlands. Thank you for being here from the Netherlands. You guys have the strudels, that waffle thing. I love eating those. David, Ray, James, Noland, Triple Sevies. I got 20 options that expire tomorrow for Palantir. Well, let's see. I mean, if this deal maybe takes them closer to that level, we'll see what happens. Here is the article, folks. This is what we've got. Kelly, thank you for being here in the chat. Nice to see you here today, Kelly. Triple U, what's up? All right, Palantir to be named as winner of the Federated Data Platform. So again, this is being announced by Digital Health, which is one of the premier publications in the United Kingdom around healthcare, NHS, etc. I'm reading this with you guys for the first time, and we'll decide if it's real. Then we're going to tweet it out. Everyone's already tweeted it, but I've been kind of like, oh, I don't know if it's real yet, but let's see what they have to say. So Palantir, the current supplier for the FDP and widely seen as the favorite to win throughout the procurement, bid in partnership with Accenture. Rival bidders included Oracle and IBM. So Palantir and Accenture are getting this deal. Not just Palantir and Accenture. So this isn't just Palantir's deal to get. This is Palantir and a consulting company they work with. For those that don't remember, Palantir and Accenture actually have a contract that goes back about a year ago where they are collaborating from a sales distribution perspective. Accenture, a consulting firm that helps sell Palantir to their clients. So it's interesting they're getting this together. Digital Health News understands that the decision on the award for the FDP procurement, originally expected to be announced in September, has been signed off by ministers and will be publicly announced in a matter of days. Okay, so digitalhealth.net is saying that it will be announced in days. Speaking at Digital Health's AI and data event last week, Ming Tang, Chief Data and Analytics Officer for NHS England, said that the procurement process was complete, but sign-off for the contract award was with ministers. Ministers were understood to have sought more evidence of support within the system for FDP before signing off the procurement decision. And this is actually correct. I'm going to pull up a clip from David Davis, who's one of the core people at the NHS, basically saying we shouldn't give Palantir the deal because no one's going to put their data into it. So there is a little bit of still, I don't know if Palantir is officially going to get this deal. Digital Health News sought confirmation from NHS England and received the following response: the supplier procurement process hasn't yet been concluded. See, this is why I've been afraid to tweet it. Chris, CodeStrap going to be in the UK eating fish and chips. Erwin, good morning. Thank you all for being here. Tyler, hello from my shower. Tyler, I hope you're enjoying the shower. Look, I wanted this news to make me wet, but the problem is that, because you're in the shower, right? So that's why I said that. The problem is, look, the supplier procurement process hasn't been concluded. That's what the NHS has said. I don't know, man. Look, I've been saying we got the deal for a long time. So do I think this is real? Yes. But everyone on Twitter is kind of being super excited about it. And I'm like, well, this is not official. This is a blog that's reporting that it is official. Granted, is it probably going to happen? Yes. I mean, because Bloomberg reported it. Now you got Digital Health reporting it. So it's probably going to happen. But that's why I've been a little afraid to just outright tweet Palantir got the deal, because like you don't know if they officially got the deal. Now, granted, 99% yes, it seems like Digital Health has been one of the more trusted news publications. It's not like a Daily Mail or anything like that. So yeah, it seems like Palantir got the deal. Regardless of the actual official announcement, why is this super important? Again, if you're a Palantir shareholder, the stock is not only up 30% in the past couple of weeks off of a pretty strong Q3 earnings. The healthcare vertical, and I did a video on this on Daily Palantir yesterday, so for those that didn't watch this, the last 10 minutes talks about Hirsch Jain, who is one of the core people in Palantir in the public health sector, speaking about a variety of reasons for why healthcare is one of the biggest verticals for Palantir. I cannot stress how important it is for Palantir to be able to integrate themselves within the very fabric of healthcare throughout hospitals, institutions, academic institutions, the NHS, in order to continue to grow in that space. Shyam Sankar, the CTO of Palantir, last year in June of 2022, I remember because I was reading an article about him saying this last night, said that Palantir is healthcare's biggest unknown startup. Like, people don't know how well Palantir is doing in the healthcare space and how many different operations they're putting together. Drug discovery, that's a huge part. That's only enabled to be better with AI. Academic research in the healthcare space, that's a huge part that's going to be helped with AI. Nurse staffing and scheduling. HCA Healthcare, one of the largest private health insurers in the United States, was talking at AIPCon why they're so much more effective because of Palantir and how they're going to have almost 40,000 locations in the next 2 years start to use Palantir. That's all going to be paying Palantir software to be integrated in those institutions. General Hospital Administration and Management, Cardinal Health and Concordance created partnerships with Palantir around supply chain management so that all the vendors, the needles that have to get to the hospital, the gloves, the masks, all those things, they have to be integrated in a way, in a central ontology that allows those hospitals to become more effective, getting rid of NHS backlogs and wait times. All of these things are where Palantir can play a phenomenal role over the next 10 years. And really, if we start managing one of the largest socialized healthcare platforms and systems on the planet with our platform, there's going to be more systems that are going to want to use Palantir as well. There's going to be other companies in the United Kingdom that are going to be wanting to use it as well, other countries as well, across the entire European Union. So it seems very exciting for Palantir. It looks like they're going to get this deal. Who names their kid David Davis? Yeah. That is kind of funny. But let me show you a clip of one of the people at the UK Parliament basically saying why Palantir shouldn't get this deal. Let's take a look at this, because this is one of the reasons for why I think it hasn't fully been publicly announced. The NHS is trying to figure out how to get their version of Congress on side.
In terms of that basis. Now they're doing it again this time, because the contract's gone out. It looks likely that the company that's going to win this is a company called Palantir. Those of you who don't know Palantir, it, I think, started with an investment from the CIA. It's actually largely, its history is in the National Security Agency support in America. And bluntly, it's just the wrong company to put in charge of our precious data resource. Even if it behaved perfectly, nobody would trust it. And the thing that destroyed the last two attempts will destroy this, which is people will not sign up and not join up. So the health service has got to get its act together on this, because if it does, we can do things like have a complete nationwide DNA database. If the privacy is protected, if the privacy is not protected, it won't happen. So there's an opportunity there, and it should grasp it, not drop it.
So obviously, right, people in the NHS, like this David Davis guy, phenomenal name, David Davis, they're not keen on Palantir. So remember, for those that are just joining, this is the article I'm talking about today. I have not officially tweeted that Palantir got the deal because I don't want to put out misinformation. The deal reported by the Digital Health blog in the UK, which is one of the more trusted blogs, says that Palantir will win with Accenture. So both of them will win together. And when they asked the NHS for any response, the NHS said, we're not responding, and it's basically not done yet. Remember when Bloomberg reported it, my tweet was that, Bloomberg reports that Palantir is getting this deal. And I talked about how they had 4 journalists on this. This was 2 months ago, that, Palantir is likely to get the deal. And the title was Palantir's closing in on the deal, which is a lot different than Palantir to be named as winner. Like it's a little, this one's a little bit more definitive than the Bloomberg article. And so look, do I think they won? 100%. I think we got the deal. But we're definitely not seeing the stock react right now because it's not official. Like, they just haven't officially announced it. And so even when Bloomberg put it up, Palantir, the stock didn't go up. SOFI freaking down again. SOFI is pissing me off, man. Like, this is I don't know what's going on with SoFi. We got a lot to talk about with SoFi. But Palantir right now up 0.92%, 1866. Nothing too crazy right now in the pre-market. It looks like we got the deal, but definitely not official. Nonetheless, it seems like the deal has been gotten. And so it's great for Palantir. What's Accenture's role? See, this is also what I'm curious about. How much of this money is going to Accenture? Okay, 480 million pounds. How much of that's going to Accenture? Because like literally $1 should go to Accenture, maybe. Accenture's not doing shit. Okay, they're not building the software. They're not like what are they actually doing? Like this is a tech product. This is like, what do you need Accenture to be doing? Like you can give them $1 million, maybe they're worth $1 million, but the majority of this revenue, if they split this 50-50, that would be really weird to me. Like I do not want Accenture getting this deal. Maybe there's some logistical stuff Accenture has to do, whatever, but like the far majority of this revenue should be going to Palantir, I would hope. Erwin says you sold out of your SoFi to buy into Robinhood. Dude, what? I can't say that's a bad sell, but I think the sentiment on SoFi is shifting, bro. A lot of people are getting a little cautious of SoFi. And granted, I think that's, a little bit, it's more contrarian than to buy it, which is okay. But it should be running in this little rally we're having, amazing earnings, and it's not. And this insider sells is really, really, really annoying. Yeah, I'd imagine. Erwin says, regardless of future growth, when insiders dump massive shares as the stock price declines, statistically a fact. Yeah, no, you're right about that. And another person sold shares yesterday as well, another like 100,000 shares. And I'm just like wondering on SoFi, why? Let's transition to SoFi. So for those that are just joining, Palantir reportedly getting the NHS deal. Let me put this in the chat for anyone who wants to see this right here. I will also be having some special guests joining me at around 9:50. These special guests are two people. One is Adam, and then one is someone you don't know, someone I'm meeting for the first time. He is big on Twitter, and he basically finds every single Palantir patent that is on the internet. And he'll be joining here today. He actually came to New York a couple of days ago, and he met up with Adam in person. So he's going to be on the podcast today. And around 9:50, they're going to be disclosing their strategy on how they get these patents, what they think about Palantir, why they think Palantir is growing so deeply, where they're getting these patents from, all that stuff. So they'll be here at 9:50. But this is the NHS contract that people think that we are getting, and that link is in the chat for anyone who wants to check it out. All right, let's transition to SoFi a little bit. Let's go to SoFi, and then we'll get to some more macro stuff because I have a ton of macro news I want to talk about. SoFi. So, was Chris right? Do we just have to admit Chris is right that this sucker is going back down to $4 or $5? I don't know, man. What I don't like is all this damn insider selling towards the end of the year. It's not like, and I was on the phone with Steve SoFi last night, our boy. He called me up. He was telling me about the latest Ponzi scheme that he's investing in. And so I listened to his pitch for like 10 minutes. He's talking about you can get rich and like this can change your life, financial freedom. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I warmed him up just so I could ask him this question, which is, Steve, why the hell are all these people selling their SoFi? This is the CMO, Lauren Stafford Webb. I think people know about her. Her name is pretty common. She sold 1/3 of her shares, and she made a cool, $758? Let's just see how much she made. Let's see how much this woman made. Let's see how much Lauren Stafford made off of shareholders. She made $1,029,606. Now, look, I don't care if insiders sell. It's not a big deal. Insider selling, as Jesse said, doesn't matter. The problem, and someone says, didn't Palantir have insider selling too? How's that different from SoFi? Here's the difference. Here is the difference, because for some reason, this is not getting through people's head. If Alex Karp or Shyam Sankar or David Glazer or Ted Marbury sold either 1/3 or 1/2 of their entire position in Palantir, I would be a little scared. It would make me feel, especially if they sold it at $15. I think this is a company that could be $200 one day. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I think Palantir can get there one day. Maybe it takes 10 years, but I think they have the potential to get there. Why are you selling half or 1/3 of your shares at $15 or $18? This is I don't know, man. This is not, I'm not saying it's a reason to sell SoFi or get rid of it, but you can't tell me, because I was talking with Steve yesterday. I was like, Steve, why are they selling? And he was like, insiders always have a reason to sell, blah, blah, blah. I was like, Steve, really? Like $1 million you need to sell? Like you really need your second mansion's pool? And he was like, look, everyone has a reason. He couldn't give me a good reason either. And so, look, I know they're going to get more shares. I know stuff is going to happen. I get it. But 50% and 33% of your shares at $7 is kind of ridiculous. To me, it's starting to signal that insiders feel the valuation is becoming a little rich, which is stupid because we got to $11 already, right? And so I don't really know what to make of it. Anthony Noto is not selling. If Noto is selling, I'd be selling like instantly. Like if Noto's like, here's the thing about Noto. He got himself in a bad hole. He can't sell stock anymore. Until the stock really performs, like I'm talking about $20 or something, he can't sell because he was buying and he was basically dog whistling to the entire shareholders at the entire market, right? That look, I think $9 is a good price. I think $6 is a good price. I think $4 is a good price because he was buying a lot of shares, like 50,000, 80,000, 100,000 shares. You can't just sell at those same prices you were buying at, even if you're up on them, because now shareholders will be like, hold on, what's going on? What's going on? So, we'll see what ends up happening. It definitely doesn't feel the best as shareholder. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but it is a little annoying to see 50 or 30% of shares, being sold by shareholders. Let's move on to Bitcoin. Let's talk about this bad boy because this one is doing pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. Bitcoin's look, it's doing well. It's I was definitely not the biggest bull on Bitcoin for a long time, but money changes everything. And Bitcoin's up. Now, I don't really feel FOMO. I know a lot of people are like, I didn't really have that much money to invest, to be honest. Like at most at what, 26,000, I could have thrown it $1,000, maybe $2,000 at Bitcoin. So it's not like I had 30, 50 grand, a ton of money on the side and I needed to know what to do with it. Okay. So, I mean, I'm very happy that Bitcoin's going up for our people that are making money. Like I like people seeing, no one wants to see people not make money. But it is phenomenal just to see the rise and how it happens, how explosive it is. It reminds me of 2021. Bitcoin right now, 37,321. It was 34,000 yesterday. So it's up another 2,000 right there on Bitcoin, right? From yesterday, 35,000 to 37,000, which is not bad at all. Chris said MicroStrategy is up as well. Let's look at that bad boy because this one basically performs in comparison with Bitcoin. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. It was, when was it? 132? Wow. MicroStrategy was 132 in January. This is the Michael Saylor company, for those that don't know, that owns a lot of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So I think their average too is like, their average is either 32,000 or 29,000. One of those. If someone knows in the chat, put in the chat. But I'm pretty sure they're break even at 37,000 or they're in the green on Bitcoin. MicroStrategy right now, 498 at $5. It's almost tripled throughout the year. It's almost up 300% if I'm not, or like 250 if I'm not doing the math wrong. Performing in line with Bitcoin. Bitcoin doing very well, 37,000. Remember, if we just look at the 6 months, this was 24,000. This was the bottom, September 12th, 24 grand. So that's when we saw a real, sharp decline. We had hit 30,000 before in August, and then it came right back down. Then we went up a little bit down, and then boom, 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 boom. We took the elevators and we got to 37,000. So I would imagine some of the Bitcoin stocks are up. Let's check on Marathon in the pre-market. Marathon is up 10%. Let's check on Riot. Riot is up 7%. Let's check on CleanSpark. CleanSpark is up 8%. Let's check on Coinbase. Coinbase is up 4%. All the Bitcoin. Let's check on Solana. I have a friend, okay, who put in, is Solana on this thing? I have a friend who took 30 grand. Okay, it's not showing the price, but Solana's at $47 right now because I just checked. I have a friend who took 30 grand. He texted me the other day. He's like, I just dropped 30 grand in Solana at what price? $41. He's like, I'm getting out at 43. It's at 47 now, so I'm not sure if he's getting out yet, but he's doing very well on that trade right now. So people are making money. People are making money. Chris says, nah, not touching this. I'm too logical to become a Bitcoin millionaire. I don't mind riding in Carlos's private jet when Bitcoin hits 100,000. And this, I think there's a lot of truth to this because I've seen Carlos's Bitcoin account. Okay. He's when we were in Vegas, he showed me a couple things. I was like, how many Enphase shares do you have? He's like, I'm not telling you. I was like, how many Enphase? We had really good food. I'm like, so how much Enphase do you have? He's like, I'm not telling you. So he would not tell me how much Enphase he has. He was not telling me how much Tesla he has, but he showed me how much Bitcoin he has. And you do have to be a little illogical to become a Bitcoin millionaire. I mean, for you to hold through all the shit that happened over the past, you have to be a kind of illogical, right? Carlos has that personality where, he'll take that risk, But a lot of that risk is quote unquote illogical. Now, one could argue it's actually very logical given how fiat currency is being devalued, given how the government's printing money, given how we're spending like drunken sailors, given how there's 21 million Bitcoin, blah, 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 right? There's all those reasons that makes it logical. But at the end of the day, to put as much money as he's put in Bitcoin, because I've seen that account, you've got to be a little illogical. And sometimes that illogical risk-taking works. And if this bad boy keeps going well, he will have that private jet, and we'll be doing Finance Junkies from private jet. Arnie in the chat, I will enjoy Bitcoin with Hood, and this is also my play on Bitcoin. I am continuing to acquire more Robinhood. Again, for me, I like having a real company, a real product that I can understand and makes a little bit more sense than Bitcoin, and that's why I like having a little bit of exposure to Bitcoin from there. Robinhood up 2.4% in the pre-markets. Kathy Wood, this is a nice little transition to Robinhood. We can talk about that for a little bit. Kathy Wood purchased a little bit of Robinhood last night as well. And remember, this is really good for Robinhood as per their Q4 transaction revenues. Bitcoin going up. I know people are trading on it in a lot of different places. A lot of people are trading on Robinhood. A lot of the newbie investors, they're not going to Coinbase. They're not setting up some cold storage wallet. They're like, what does that even mean, bro? Like you find some storage center in Alaska and you like put a wallet in there. Like, no, like they're not doing all that. Okay. They're going to Robinhood. They're downloading it and they're like, oh, Bitcoin, I can buy and sell, no fees. It's very simple. A lot of the trading activity, a lot of the VIX volatility indicates that Q4 transaction revenues for Robinhood probably are going to be a little bit more higher than normal. And the stock is down 15% in the past day. And as a result of the stock being down 15%, we had a buyer yesterday. That buyer goes by the name of Mrs. Wood. Also, first name is Kathy. And let's just say she bought some shares. ARK, Kathy Wood, ARK Innovation Fund, ARK ETF, ARK FinTech Fund. They bought 1,141,000 shares of Robinhood. As you can see, ARK F bought 99,000. ARK KK bought 888,000 and ARK W bought 152,000. This was when the stock dropped 15%. This is what Kathy does. If the stock drops pretty badly and they have a lot of conviction, they will buy the stock. Now, they were buying at 40 and 70. So I don't know how good their average is, quite frankly. I'm actually going to see how much stock I want to know how much does Kathy actually have of this. But nonetheless, they bought the dip. And, you know, a lot of people don't really care about what Kathy does. But to me, I at least still look at, does she still buy the dip on a company? Because that lets you know if she still has a little bit more conviction or not in the stock. And quite frankly, she's not done that bad this year. Roku's up 100% year to date. She was buying a lot of Roku at 50. She's selling at the prices it is now. She's taking her profits there, right? So she is making some returns in the context of different positions. Right now, let's actually share this tab. Coinbase is number one in the ARK Innovation ETF, 9%, 629 million. Roku, 622 million. Tesla's number 3. That's because she sold a shit ton of Tesla right before earnings. That was actually a phenomenal sell. I mean, like she was like 250, 260. You guys want it? You could have my shares. Go ahead. Take it. And then Tesla tanks. But Tesla, 582 million. Zoom, this one. What is Zoom stock? I haven't even checked Zoom in so long. I haven't looked at Zoom. She has a $1,500 price target on that. By 2026, Zoom is $62. Okay, we'll see if that happens. Robinhood, 177 million, 21 million shares, 2.5% of the portfolio. Palantir, 6 million shares, 122 million, 1.75% of the portfolio. So she's bullish on Hood. She also bought more Ginkgo yesterday. She bought like 4 million shares or some ridiculous number. Ginkgo, 125 million shares. She has now $187 million worth of Ginkgo. So she has $10 million less worth of Robinhood than of Ginkgo. Ginkgo had earnings yesterday. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Those earnings were absolute garbage. I mean, look, if anyone's in Ginkgo, the growth is not there, bro. The growth is just not there. It's such a long-term hold. The growth is, they reduced their cell programming. They reduced what else did they? They reduced their cell programs. They reduced their revenue. Biosecurity revenue came to, like, it was just a bad earnings. And it's because the company is a very long-term play. Nonetheless, she owns a lot of Robinhood. So, yeah, for those that are interested in Robinhood, I think at these prices, we and Chris were talking about it yesterday as well. It makes a lot of sense to just take a look at it. Chris had an interesting tweet yesterday as well that I want to pull up for discussion. And then I'll do this one tweet and then we'll go to macro because we have a lot to talk about in the context of macro. So here's the tweet. Let me know what you guys think about it. And if there is any logic to this. His argument was Robinhood and SOFI should combine forces. He says, I truly believe that if Hood and SoFi merged, they would dominate the 22 to 35-year-old finance product market. The synergies between the two would boost operating income while reducing redundancy. I was talking to Steve last night, and Steve also said that he thinks this is a great idea. So he was echoing Chris's point when he saw this as well. I just don't know like how this would happen. SoFi would have to, Robinhood's what, 8 billion, 7 billion? SoFi would have to somehow, it would have to be SoFi buying Robinhood versus Hood buying SoFi. There's no way, because Hood can't buy a bank, right? There's so many regulations, I would imagine. But SoFi could easily buy Robinhood. Robinhood's just a brokerage. SoFi just has to like cash them out. But they don't have the money to do that. I mean, they would have to raise capital to do this. They would have to pay them in a ton of stock. They would have to dilute shareholders. I do think this would be a good product. I mean, if Robinhood was integrated into this, because the SoFi app, SoFi Invest app sucks, right? Like if this was integrated correctly, I think this would work. But let me know what you guys think in the chat if this would work. Arnie says Hood x SoFi is as bad as the idea as Palantir splitting commercial from government. Okay, so Arnie's not a fan of it. I think it'd be cool because SoFi as a business is way better to invest in than Robinhood. Personally, I like the loan business. I like their member growth. I like their financial flywheel ecosystem, etc. Robinhood is just a brokerage at the end of the day. But the moat of Robinhood is that it's a really good brokerage, which is not the best moat. I'm objective enough to recognize that. So if you give a really good brokerage to a really good business, you know, maybe there's some juice there. Maybe we'll see. How much debt does Hood have? I actually don't know. I have to check. I'm actually not sure how much debt they have. This is something I wanted to know. I never looked at. I have to look into it. So I'll check that out. But you know, maybe it would be not the worst thing in the world. And again, last thing on Robinhood, they would have been gap profitable for 2 quarters in a row if they didn't have a regulatory fine, right? So that would have been working in their favor. It's just, you know, one of those things that they had to end up paying for. Okay, let's move on to some more macro. Let's do macro. Where's Bitcoin right now? Look at that. Bitcoin is going up. Bitcoin is going up 37,523 on the Bitcoin. Put in the chat if you own Bitcoin. Put in the chat who owns Bitcoin. And I mean owns Bitcoin, not like you have $1,000 in it. I mean like you see these numbers and you think about like retiring type of shit. Like who has that type of Bitcoin in their some on Twitter I got mixed responses yesterday. Someone was like, "Oh, $8,000 until I break even." And I was like, damn, that sucks, right? That really sucks. That means he's holding at 45 grand. And then there's other people that are thinking of buying their jet. So, you know, let me know if you actually own Bitcoin. Like you really have some Bitcoin. All right, so let's move on to some macro stuff. A couple things I want to talk about in macro. First of all, let's go to the 10-year and let's see what's going on. Market open is in 17 minutes. So we got 7. This is going to be an exciting market open, especially with Bitcoin, and see where it's going today. First of all, 10-year trending up just a little bit, but still at 4.545. So not too bad on the 10-year. We're seeing it relax at that 4.5 level, which is really interesting and means that equity markets maybe have a little bit of room to run. Mitch just called me broke. No, I didn't call you broke. I just want to know who actually has Bitcoin. I know Philip Rizzo has Bitcoin. He sends me Bitcoin on Cash App all the time. He's like my Bitcoin sugar daddy. So this guy definitely has some Bitcoin. 30K in Clean Spark. That's actually a great proxy to it. I talked to the executive chair at Clean Spark a year ago. The dude is really awesome. He invited me to come to the facilities. I just never got a chance to go. But he's really cool. 0 Bitcoin, Dogecoin, 8 grand of Bitcoin, 1,000 shares of coin. Okay, not bad. Some of you have some exposure to Bitcoin. So 10 years at 4.543. It's settling into this level, which is helping the equity markets. S&P 500 in the pre-market right now. What do we have on the S&P? On the S&P, we've got 438, up 0.33%. Now, here's the stat I found last night that I don't think a lot of people are talking about that I think will inform a lot of stuff that's important to look at. So this is what I found yesterday. From money market funds. So remember when we said that there's like 5.5 trillion in money market funds? These are funds that you can invest in to get a risk-free rate of return of about 5% from the government. And a lot of that money going into money markets means that money's not going into US equities. Well, last week, as of November 2nd, they got $62 billion more dollars into the money market funds. I mean, there's just so much money in this world. There's so much money in this world. Total money market fund assets increased by 62.68 billion to 5.7 trillion dollars on November 1st. Among the taxable money market funds, government funds increased 53 billion, prime funds increased by 4 billion, and tax-exempt money market funds increased by 3.97 billion. Now, why is this really interesting to me? The market's gone from 4,100 to 4,380 in the same time that $62 billion has entered into the money market funds, which means the market's up almost 5%, even though money was not coming into the market, it was going into money market funds. So, I think there's 2 points of analysis here. where is the money coming from to come into the market? If it's not coming from the money market funds, it means people are finding a way to still invest in US equities because of the run we saw. And then on top of that, what happens when this 5.7 trillion finally shifts from the money market fund assets into the equity markets? Now, I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't think any of us know when that's going to happen, but eventually the numbers are going to get ridiculous on the S&P 500, right? Imagine we hit 460 before the end of the year, where people have too much FOMO. It's kind of like Bitcoin, right? Like when Bitcoin hits 40 grand, a lot of money is going to be coming in. People are going to have too much FOMO. They got to get in. They got to get in. And so I would imagine equity markets will benefit, because what I feel like is going on in money markets is there's all this pent up demand. There's so much money just being stacked up in these funds that eventually it's going to crack. And the question becomes when it's going to crack and come back into the broader market. And so we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But this is incredibly important to understand if you're investing, just to know where the money market funds are in relationship to where the general stock market is going as well. So 52 billion, 62 billion more in money market funds, 5.7 trillion. We'll see when that comes to the regular markets. Let's talk about Disney as we transition about 14 minutes into the market open. If you are just joining, the breaking news today was that Palantir is getting this deal from the NHS, supposedly, but not supposedly. Let me share the article real quick once again, just so you guys are updated on this. The NHS, I'm going to put this in the chat for anyone who wants to read. Digitalhealth.net, which is the core UK blog around healthcare, reported Palantir is winning the deal. However, they reached out to the NHS, and the NHS did not give an official announcement. This is why I have not tweeted about this, because I really want it to be more official than not. And I didn't want to just like say they got it versus say they didn't got it. But if I had to bet, I would bet it's happening. Digital Health, one of the more respective blogs in the UK. Palantir to be named as the winner of the Federated Data Platform. US Analytics and AI platform Palantir and Accenture have been chosen as the winner of the £480 million contract. I'll be talking about this today on the Daily Palantir episode that comes out probably in like 4 or 5 hours, and I'll discuss kind of the reasoning behind this report. But it seems like we're getting the deal. The stock's not really reflecting it because it's not official. So the stock really can't just go up off the officialness of the deal. I think the stock has a lot of premium baked in, but I do think this deal is massive. And I think the stock will have a little bit of momentum when the deal is officially announced. But as of now, not seeing a lot of that momentum yet. Smitty says, wait, what? The NHS deal is done? That is the rumor as of today. The website I put in the description, that is the rumor from Digital Health. They are one of the more trusted UK blogs out there reporting on the NHS. They have reported that they know that the deal is going to be announced in a couple of days. They know the deal is done, but they haven't gotten the official announcement from the NHS. And that's why it's not official. Yeah, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, they haven't reported it either, which is why I've been a little bit more skeptical of reporting it. Also, at 9:50, we're going to have some more Palantir experts come join the show, particularly around Palantir patents and Palantir government contracts. And they're going to be coming onto the show and giving us a little bit more insight around what's going on with Palantir's intellectual property and their potential to get the JAD-C2 contract, which is something we've been thinking about for a long time. Okay, Disney. Let's talk about Disney. Disney. So Disney is up in the pre-markets. Here you go. $87.92, 4%. Nice move on Disney. The reason Disney is up right now is because Bob Iger had a pretty exceptional job on earnings yesterday. And look, remember, the stock was at $79 a couple of days ago. So seeing it at 87 is not bad. $2 billion have flowed in from activist investors that want to reshape the architecture of how Disney is basically presenting itself to the broader ecosystem. They got $21 billion in revenue. They beat on revenue by about 20 million. They beat on EPS by about 12 cents. And they added 100. They have now 150 million subscribers. The street expected they would have 148 million subscribers to Disney Plus. They added 7 million more subscribers than they did last quarter. And those 7 million really was the culmination of the Disney Plus brand, Hulu, and ESPN creating a synergistic product that allowed more people to subscribe. On top of that, some good DD from Twitter last night. Someone told me that they had an offer for $1.99 for 3 months. And that got a lot of people excited. I mean, if you're gonna give me $2 a month for Disney Plus, yeah, you're gonna get a lot more signups. So we'll see if there's any churn when that price goes back to like $10. But they did have a promotion that probably got a lot more people excited about Disney. Jay Schwass, you say you're just joining. Can you repeat the NHS bit again? If NHS Palantir deal has been announced theoretically by digitalhealth.net, I'll put the link in the chat again. If you want to go to 2 minutes and 32 seconds on the live stream, if you go back to 2 minutes and 32 seconds, I talk about it for the next 15 minutes. And you can get the updates from there. But supposedly we have won the deal. It's not official from the NHS, but it's official from the blog that like reports around the NHS. So Disney is up $87. Let's look at Palantir real quick and see them. Palantir's up 1% in the pre-market. So maybe this rumor is having a little bit of implications on Palantir for them to be up 1.1%, but we'll see what happens when the market open. Again, Palantir is baked in with a lot of premium at a $40 billion market cap. So you could argue the NHS deal is it's assumed if we didn't get this deal, we would tank, right? So it's assumed we are getting this deal. But Palantir is indeed up on the news, and we'll see in 10 minutes how the market reacts to it. Disney, again, $88. The other really important thing about Disney that I think it was interesting to understand is that they're buying out Hulu for about $8.4 billion. Hulu is, again, that product that really dominates in DTC advertising. And they're going to create a consolidated Disney Plus app that has Hulu, which is the mature content, and the kid content with Disney Plus all in one place, which is what I think people have been asking for a long time. Because the beauty of Netflix is like, the algorithm can adjust to your child watching Netflix, and it can adjust to you watching Netflix because it's Netflix, right? It's a centralized platform that has all the content there. Disney Plus and Hulu always being separate made me feel like there's a massive market opportunity being wasted because people just want to go to one thing and get the content that they want to see. So we'll see how that rollout goes, but that is one of the reasons why Disney is excited, or why it's exciting for Disney Plus. Heinzie says all my crypto is missing. Heinzie, you know what I was thinking about you yesterday? Because I got Burger King and I was eating fries with ketchup. And every time I saw your name in the chat on Finance Junkies, I was like, oh, Heinzie ketchup. I was just eating some ketchup. So you got me thinking a lot about your name yesterday night. I think Palantir here is foolish. Wait for a pullback. Yeah. So I kind of think the same, right? As someone said, they put in an order for Palantir at $19. I'll put a limit order for Palantir. 19 is now a good price for me. Yeah, John, look, I mean, my unsolicited advice is I do not like buying at that price. I just like on principle, you're buying it when it's up 30%. You're assuming there's a lot more juice left to squeeze from Palantir. Now, long term, yeah, I think the stock's $200 one day, 2030, 2033, whatever. So in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But if you don't want to be holding it, if it comes down, which I think it very well could come down from 19, just because there's a lot of premium baked in, man. It's not to say they don't deserve a premium after earnings, but the market's giving them almost $10 billion of premium over $40 million of profits. Like it's a lot to ask, right? It's not Palantir's fault that the market's giving them the premium. In fact, that's my logic that these companies will always be overvalued, but nonetheless, they're giving them a shit ton of premium. And so I think you got to be a little careful you're buying at this level. Now, look, I could be wrong. The stock could go to 25 and 19 would have been a great buy. But it is a decent amount of premium that's there. We're heading to 25. We're heading to 25. 25 will put us at a $53 billion market cap. Look, maybe. I mean, shit. If that happens, I'll be happy. I won't complain about that. I'm also trying to be a little bit cautious on these prices because valuations are a thing. And as much as we want to get excited about the green, valuations are a thing. It's the one thing I've learned over the past 2 years. Valuations are a thing. And remember, when I bought Palantir at 25, when I didn't even know what a market cap was back in 2021, the market cap was, about 50 billion. And they weren't even profitable. Like they were barely doing 1.5 billion in revenue. And I was buying it at if I just looked at how much revenue are they doing, what are the profits in comparison to what the valuation of the company I'm paying for is, I think I would have been logical enough even at 21 to be like, this doesn't seem like a good deal. But I didn't even know what a market cap was, right? And things have changed. And so I do think it's important to think about market cap and kind of understand valuation as well. Okay, cool. So we got 7 minutes until the market open. Let's see what else we have going on. We talked about macro, talked about Disney, Robinhood, Bitcoin, SoFi. We talked about the Palantir news again. For those people that are making it, the deal is supposedly announced. We have to see when it officially becomes announced, but it is not announced yet. Oil, let me check the price of oil prices. Oil's been coming down every single day this week, which has been really nice to see. Crude oil, where's our friend Brent? Look at that, $80.66. So it's up 1%, but it's down dramatically from the past couple of days. I think the stream might have paused just for a little bit, but you guys should be able to see me now. So oil is down $80.66. Let's get a little bit of update. Oh, we got Gunjan. We got our good friend. She's on CNBC today. Do you guys remember her? She joined the market open. She was with me. She was gracious enough to join a couple months ago on my market open. Gunjan Banerjee. Let's see what she has to say around retail investing. She is on CNBC today, and then we'll have the market open in about 5 minutes.
Trading volumes have dropped and monthly active users declined 16% in its latest report, demonstrating a trend in retail investing that is hurting brokerages right now. To talk about all of this is Gunjan Batterjee. She's a Wall Street Journal's reporter, of course, a CNBC contributor. Good morning. Do you think that this is a Robinhood specific issue, or do you think this is just an across the board issue?
Thanks, Andrew. I think Robinhood is certainly getting hit the hardest. This was the brokerage that really became known as this flashy trading app associated with meme stocks, but brokerages in general are seeing this as well. Charles Schwab recently saw its monthly active users fall to some of the lowest levels since 2020, 2021. People simply aren't trading as much. This is a very, very different environment than the one that sent shares of these brokerages to highs during the pandemic. And they're all really feeling the heat right now. People simply aren't trading as much. What I hear from individual investors is a lot of the thrill from trading stocks has really disappeared. Guess what seems more exciting right now? Money market funds, bond funds. That's bad news for brokerages like Robinhood.
Where do you rate crypto in all of this as we've watched Bitcoin steadily actually rise over the past month and a half?
What a ride for crypto. But I think it is really interesting to check on how retail investors are feeling about crypto, because a lot of rookie traders got burned big from FTX's collapse. And I think a lot of them have been reluctant to wade back into that market, even though Bitcoin prices have been rising. I was pretty alarmed to see, some of the stats from Robinhood yesterday, where, transaction revenues from crypto in particular dropped 50%. That's way more than the drop in revenues from things like options or stocks. So you're seeing some of that, that speculative mania that we saw during the pandemic. It's just come off big time. And that's what you're seeing in Robinhood's results right now.
When you look, though, at the retail brokerages, is there one or two that you think is going to either weather the storm? Do you think, given the valuations of some of these things, that there's going to be consolidation in this space? Where does this all go?
It's so interesting because Robinhood in particular, it's really tried to turn into this financial supermarket. Instead of meme stock trading, it's trying to become known for retirement offerings, high yield savings, high yield checkings. It's offering this gold subscription platform, but it hasn't been able to move beyond that. It's still incredibly reliant on these transaction revenues from stocks, options, and crypto. And it's unclear how that evolves. Is it able to really build that base of wealthier consumers who are going to keep their money there in the long run rather?
Now, look, this is what I mean. Gunjan, she obviously didn't read the Robinhood IR because that's what's happening. I mean, if I was her, I would have mentioned that's what. Remember, the assets under custody and the ARPU is going up, folks. They're losing users in terms of, they're not losing users. They're not checking it every month, right? So they're losing MAUs, but they're putting more money. They have $87 billion assets under custody on the platform, $4 billion in annualized deposits. Where do you think these $4 billion are coming from? It's not coming from like users that are leaving. It's coming from users that are staying. So me, as I'm growing my wealth, I'm incorporating my wealth into Robinhood as well. I'm growing with the product. So I think her argument about can they keep users and can they, the numbers showed, yes, they are getting their users to keep their money on the product. And that's one of the things that I like about Robinhood.
Than the types of active traders that it made so much money off of during the pandemic. But unfortunately, those types of traders have learned that, one, it's tough to make money in the stock market. A lot of them learn that, trading can eat away at their returns. So it's unclear how that evolution continues.
Okay.
All right, so that was Gunjan. Always love hearing from Gunjan. She was in the Netflix Eat the Rich documentary. If anyone hasn't watched it, I would recommend checking it out. It was kind of showing the whole GameStop saga, and she was one of the main reporters covering it at the time. You know what's so crazy about social media? She was one of the main Wall Street Journal reporters covering it. Market opens in about 40 seconds, but I was following Meet Kevin during that whole time. Like Meet Kevin was my news around what was happening. And so it's like, I guess to me and our generation, I didn't even know who the hell Gunjan was. I don't know. I wasn't keeping up with, I was listening to Meet Kevin because he was in my face on YouTube, right? So it's just such a different world in terms of how people get their coverage on, really cool breaking events. And we'll see if that rally ever happens again. But if it did, it would be good for Robinhood. Robinhood's, again, if you look at some of their metrics, Arnie tweeted this yesterday, it's getting close to those 2021 levels, even though the meme trading frenzy isn't there like it was in 2021. And that's because the users are sticky and they like using the product. And that's why Robinhood's doing well. All right, folks, here we go. We got in about 20 minutes, we have some Palantir experts joining, talking about their JAD-C2 contracts, government contracts, and Palantir patents. 769 people, thank you for being here. We got 15 minutes until that guest joins. The stock market in the United States of America is now once again open. Wake your ass up. Let's see what we've got going on. Palantir 1870. If you are just joining, that NHS contract has theoretically been announced. If you go to 2 minutes and 32 seconds of the live stream, you'll see my coverage on there. The NHS announcement has come from the digital health blog in the UK. No official announcement from the NHS yet, but there is basically a leaked announcement that it is happening. $18.62, up 0.65%. We'll see how the stock reacts over the next couple of minutes. Disney 87.88, really good earnings, up 4%. Free cash flow is doing well. Parks are doing well. Subscribers are doing well. The market's rewarding Disney. Those activist investors are coming in, turning the ship around. $88.39, still at 2014 levels, but it's better than being at $79. Robinhood 848, up 1.3%. Kathy Wood bought 1 million shares of this bad boy yesterday. She is bullish on the stock. She has $177 million worth of this company in it right now. Robinhood 849, down 15% from yesterday. Bitcoin $37,580. These are real dollars. If you bought Bitcoin at 24,000, you are up. Let's do the quick math. $13,000 right now if you had one whole Bitcoin. This is real money. This is real stuff. People are probably taking some real profits today. Solana also is up at 47 bucks. It was at 41 a couple of days ago. So Bitcoin's doing well. Let's look at ETH. Where's ETH at? ETH, look at that. ETH at 1900. So ETH was at 1500 on October 12th. ETH at 1900 now as well. ETH basically following Bitcoin as well. The main use case for ETH, I understand, is more decentralized, kind of like finance, NFTs. Like, you remember that OpenSea platform? OpenSea, that was like where people traded and bought NFTs. They raised $300 million at a Series C financing at a $13.3 billion valuation. I think they laid off 50% of their staff. So NFTs to me are dead, which is, I don't know what that much of the use case are on Ethereum that much anymore. Maybe I'm just not that educated on it, but some of the use cases for it are not that strong. But if Bitcoin pumps, Ethereum's going to pump, and I guess people will try to find the speculative nature of what they can do with Ethereum. Coinbase is up 6%. CleanSpark is up 9%. Riot is up 9%. Marathon is up 13%. MicroStrategy is breaking $500. The stock was at $130 in January. It's up another 6%. All of these companies is basically like a little Bitcoin ETF. Coinbase, CleanSpark, Riot, Marathon, MicroStrategy. Let me know another Bitcoin company or crypto company in the chat that I'm not pulling up. They're all up today because Bitcoin's mooning. So these companies are going to go higher if Bitcoin goes up, and that's what's going to end up happening with Bitcoin. Kelly says Affirm. I forgot. Affirm had earnings yesterday. I didn't get to see their numbers. Wow, 13%. This is the buy now, pay later company. This company, remember, this company got to 120 bucks back in 2021. I remember people were like thinking this is going to be like the next big thing. And I never got into it, but Affirm, buy now, pay later, they were up 14%. I didn't go through their numbers, but at least this is one fintech that's doing well. Upstart is down. Where's SoFi? Oh my God. Oh my goodness. What is this? What is this? What is going on, bro? Oh boy, SoFi. Why? Why is it down 5%? What is going on here? What the heck is going on? You see all this momentum, and then we got SoFi. All this beauty, and then we got freaking SoFi. Why? What happened? Goodness gracious. This is not fun. It's a bank. Yeah, it's a bank. It's definitely a bank, bro. Oh my God. And now I don't feel, people are giving me so much shit for calling it a bank. Guess what? I'm going to double down on my statements. It's a bank. Okay, it's being valued as a bank. It's more than a bank, but it's a bank. This is ridiculous, bro. Why is, so let me see some of the other banks. What is going on with the other? Is JP Morgan down? Is JPM down? JP Morgan is up. Okay, that's a bank that's up. Bank of America, it's a bank that's up. Truist, TFC, it's a bank that's up. Why are all the other banks up? Why KRE Regional Bank ETF is up. It's at 42 bucks. And then XLF, that's the bank. All the banks are up. All the bank ETFs are up. Why the hell is SoFi down? Like, it really, I don't know, bro. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but why is this down? Like, why is it down 5%? What happened? What could possibly be the reason? Like, why is the market so scared about SoFi? This is so stupid. Like, what's going on? When are we buying more of it? I'm not buying more, bro. I'm giving this I'm really like, this is, I mean, theoretically we should be buying more, but like, what is going on? Like, why is it bleeding? I want to know why. Like, is there any SoFi expert? I guess I don't know SoFi well enough. Why is it bleeding? I don't know. This is very confusing to me. Very, very confusing. And I just don't understand why it's down. 680 on SoFi now. I got to tweet this. What the hell is going on? What is going on? I mean, it's not buying more SoFi, it's buying more Hood. Yeah, I guess that shows where my where my freaking where my allegiance is when it comes to this. Amit, you're getting emotional. Maybe I am. Okay, maybe I am getting emotional on this one. But this is annoying. Amit going through all the motions of the market. I am that chart. See what happens. Amit is very unhappy. If he had Bitcoin, he'd be. It's so funny. It's like the best analysis. Amit unhappy. If he had Bitcoin, he would be more happy. It's like a third grade analysis. Yeah, you're right. Insider buys, and I'm guessing also end of year profit taking. Look, I'm keeping my SoFi, man. I'm not selling any of the SoFi. I think the price is stupid. The valuation is stupid. It's one of those days where I don't want to buy more though. I don't want to buy. I'm a little pissed off at the insider. You know why I don't want to buy is because I saw all these insiders selling and I'm buying their shitty shares, right? And I didn't like that insiders are selling at $8, bro. 50%, 33% of your shares. It's not enough for me to get rid of the position, but it's definitely not something I like. So we'll see what happens. Look, if it goes back down to $5, I'll buy a lot more, but we'll see where it goes. All right, so that's SoFi. We got SoFi at 689. That one kind of sucks. We'll see what else is going on in the market. HIMS at 690. This one's down as well. Down 1.57%. I think it's up 5% now after earnings. Celsius 178, kind of flat after earnings. Airbnb 117. Nasdaq 13,658. This has been kind of stable throughout the entire week. SLG 32. Oh, Instacart had earnings yesterday, folks. Dude, Instacart earnings. I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but Instacart earnings were fucking trash, bro. These guys, this was not a good earnings. Let me read something real quick off the earnings. They are losing $2 billion in GAAP net losses, which is 262% of their revenue. They brought in $764 million. They're losing $2 billion. I haven't seen a company lose 262% of their revenue in their net losses. Now, granted, there was some stock-based compensation with the IPO, so I think that's what helped incur that, but that wasn't good. And then on top of that, revenue was only 14% year over year. This is not a high growth tech company. 14% year over year revenue growth is not a high tech company. I mean, look, I've said that when Palantir was growing 13% year over year. Now Palantir's at 17%. I'll still say Palantir is not a high growth tech company, but Palantir is Palantir. All right. It's like, you got two girls in your life. There's one girl that really matters. And then there's another girl that's like, she's just whatever. Right. Palantir is Palantir. Instacart is Instacart. It's groceries. Okay. You're talking about groceries versus the modern operating system for the enterprise. So Palantir can have, shitty growth because they're going to probably grow more in the future. Instacart can't do 14% year over year as a public company. No way. Dude, that's not good for a stock like this. $7 billion market cap, lost $2 billion in one quarter in Q3. I mean, yeah, it's down 2.5%. I would imagine the market's, not going to reward it. Tesla at 217. They're down a little bit today. Shopify 62. It's flat. Square should be up more. See, this is what concerns me about Square. Bitcoin's mooning and Square is not part of the Bitcoin rally. Maybe it's because it's up already 13, 14%, but I would imagine Square would be up a little bit more. Pinterest 31. McDonald's 267. Meet Kevin's pricing power is down a little bit, 0.22. He recently added Palantir to this. He has 4% of the portfolio in Palantir. Google 133, Amazon 142. Lucid is up somehow. I don't know who keeps buying Lucid, but some people are holding Lucid afloat. Apple at 183. Apple also doing phenomenally well. Got out of that 165 range. So if you picked up shares at 165, you're doing well on Apple. Ford, GM are also down. Meta is down at 131 as well. ARM reported earnings yesterday. They're down 7%. I didn't get a chance to go through the earnings. I knew they beat on revenue, but the street did not like their earnings. They're down $1 below their IPO price as well. Truist hits 30. Bank of America 27. JP Morgan 145. Palantir 1860 up 0.59%. Again, for those that are just joining, the NHS deal has been announced theoretically. It's not official yet, but one of the blogs in the UK basically announced that we are getting the NHS deal. And so now it's just a question of when the NHS will officially announce it. And Robinhood 836. Look at that. Robinhood's taking a dip as well. Disney inching towards $90. Not bad. If you picked up at 79 because you believed in the mouse was starting to come alive a little bit more. Disney at 97, or sorry, Disney at 90, Robinhood at 836. And then let's go back to being unhappy. SoFi 693. Wow. It's pretty interesting, man. It's pretty interesting to see how the market's reacting to a lot of this stuff. Again, Robinhood, Kathy Wood bought 1 million shares yesterday. Bitcoin continuing to do well, 37,640 on Bitcoin. It's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. Chainlink, is that on Webull? Carlos was talking about this a while ago. link. Can I see that one on Webull? I might not be able to see it. Yeah, it's not showing it to me here. But this is one of those altcoins. Oh, I do. No, it's that's weird. It's not showing it. Let me know the price of it in the chat though, because this is one of those things that a viewer asked about Carlos, and he wasn't the most bullish on it. Space is up 25%. Wow, Space is up 25%. This is the Virgin Galactic company. I really resonate with this company because of the word Virgin in it. So like this has always been a soft spot for me in terms of a stock that I wanted to own. But Space, wow, why is Space up 25%? That's interesting. What this feels kind of like meme stockish right now. Why is Space up 25%? I don't know. Why is that one up? Anthony Onoda could stop all this with a buy. That's true. Noto should buy some freaking shares. $6-7 is cheap in my opinion. Why aren't they buying some shares? Austin says, admit, why can't a company like Starbucks hold so much debt and have negative shareholder equity and still excel? I'm starting to read balance sheets and just wanted to know how to read this. I think the main thing about Starbucks is the scale they have, the economies of scale they have. The market is okay with debt. I mean, Disney has a shit ton of debt as well. Verizon has a shit ton of debt. Walgreens has a shit ton of debt. Companies like the market is rewarding of debt if they think that your free cash flow can outpace your debt, which is all that matters. And I'm assuming Starbucks free cash flow, I haven't looked at it, but I'm assuming their free cash flow is phenomenal. If that free cash flow outpaces your debt and you're able to do stuff with that cash, like pay off the debt, especially if the debt is at low interest rates, I would also look into the fact if Starbucks debt is at low interest, because Verizon's debt is at incredibly low interest rates because they financed years ago. If that's the case, then the market's probably rewarding of that, and they're not going to give it too much pain. So, we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. You guys got the Virgin joke, huh? You guys liked it. That was a good joke. In about 3 minutes, folks, we're gonna have some Palantir experts join the show. Adam will be joining, and another person who I've never talked to, who's big on Twitter, and he's going to be talking to us about patents and some Palantir government contracts that we are in the running for. So he's going to give us some insight on that as well. It's like, devs, do something. Yeah, I'm like, dude, you guys got to do something. We got to do something here. What else do we have here? Kelly says she's groceries. When I was talking about the two, no, Kelly, you're not groceries. You're Palantir. You would never be groceries to me. You are definitely the modern operating system for the enterprise. Guys, if me and Kelly ever go on a date, I'm just gonna. This is probably never gonna happen. But if I ever meet her somehow and we go on a date, I'm gonna look her in the eyes. I'm gonna hold her hands and be like, Kelly, you are the modern operating system for the enterprise. You are not groceries. And yeah, hopefully I won't resonate with Virgin Galactic Holdings after that happens. So anyway, Bitcoin, where are we at? Palantir at 1880. Look at that. Palantir's up 1.6%. Bitcoin 37,699. Robinhood 838. We're getting a little bit more green. Is SOFI back to 7? No, SOFI's at 693, still down 5% of the day. Uber is up a little bit. MicroStrategy 518. Look at that. 10% on MicroStrategy. Absolutely incredible growth there. Marathon's up 20%. Riot's up 13%. Coinbase is up 10%. This is going to do well for Kathy today. CleanSpark is up 11%. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. These stocks are doing absolutely phenomenal. Again, if you have Bitcoin, let me know in the chat. I'm happy for you if you have Bitcoin. I don't have a lot of Bitcoin, but I'm happy for those that are making money off of it. I'm really happy. Carlos is going to be filled with glee today when he joins. He called me yesterday after the show. He couldn't make the show because he was sleeping. I was like, dude, don't worry about it. You're totally fine. Like, I know you have such a busy life. I don't think he's going to oversleep tonight. I think this guy is coming to the show tonight. I'm pretty sure I mentioned crypto mining this week on Finance Junkies. Yes, Heinzie, you did. You did mention crypto mining on the show today. I actually remember your comments, and crypto is doing pretty well. So David owns Bitcoin. Christian owns Bitcoin. Let's go to DNA real quick. Let's go to DNA. This is another big Kathy stock. She has 125 million shares of this company. Wow. They got Molly schmacked, down 12%. DNA down 12%. If you looked at the earnings were bad. The earnings were not bad at all. So, the earnings were bad. So that's probably why. And Kathy's probably going to buy even more of this company now. I mean, she's buying this thing until it goes to the ground. Amit, have you changed your tone on Bitcoin? You've said many times you understand it, but probably never convinced. Yeah, I'm changing my tone a little bit on Bitcoin. I'm changing my mindset. And part of it is because of this guy right here, who's now with me, Mr. Adam, who's been telling me about Bitcoin for a long time. I'm starting to get there.
First of all, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you,
audio's
brother.
all right?
You sound great. Your voice is sexy. It sounds great.
All right, thank you. Is it as sexy as your hair?
It's
No.
it's sexier than my hair. It's sexier than my hair.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The most jealous person of Amit's hair. This guy right here, but in a good way. Yes, Bitcoin, guys. I've been talking about it for a while. I was just going over my channel member videos. I just put up a Robinhood channel members video that's coming out, the 32-minute full in-depth video, by the way. And I've been talking about Bitcoin when it was like 26, 27K. I was making channel member videos, and everybody thinks that I'm absolutely crazy. But just remember something. I'm one of the most knowledgeable people in crypto that actually can use DeFi in crypto of different blockchains. Most people don't know shit about crypto. Guys, the bull run is just about to start. I'm telling you guys, multi-bagger. $150 billion is about to come into a $600 billion market cap Bitcoin. That's not going to increase 25%. That's going to increase multiple triple figures. Overnight, Bitcoin is going to go through the freaking roof. And we have a huge chance of Bitcoin hitting 120,000, which I'm conservative, right? I'm saying Bitcoin's going to go around 120,000. Some people are saying some crazy numbers, which I don't, believe. But yeah, everybody has an opportunity. It's not too late. You don't need to own one Bitcoin on it.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm getting more excited about it. I don't have a lot of free cash right now, but eventually, maybe. Look, the thesis is starting to make a lot more sense, regardless.
So look into GBTC,
right?
And GBTC trades like an ETF. It's not exactly it, because with an ETF you need to trade. Anyways, it's like an ETF that's applying for ETF, but they're trading at like a 12% discount. Which means as soon as an ETF is approved and they have one on deck, they're the one that won against SEC right now that I have to re-review, automatically the price of their stock is going to go up 12% to match the assets under custody automatically. And they're trading like $20-something a share. That's a good Bitcoin play if you guys don't want to actually buy Bitcoin. Just saying. How are you today?
I'm doing well. We got some special guests with us. Adam, obviously, friend of the show. He's going to be talking about Palantir. And then we have another guy who's with us here today. So let me share his Twitter real quick. This is someone who's gracious enough to join the show. His Twitter is at Palantir's Palantir. So he's a little bullish on Palantir. I would highly recommend people follow this guy on Twitter. He has been finding a crap ton of patents. I mean, this is like one of his first tweets an hour ago, right? He I don't know where he finds these patents from, but he understands Palantir's intellectual property and their moat, which, I mean, if you have these patents, right, it kind of adds to your moat overall a lot better than other people because he finds these patents all day. He has a lot of thoughts on Palantir's government contracts that they're in the running for. So he was gracious enough to join us today on the show. Hello. Thank you for being here, sir.
No, thank you. Pleasure to take my talents from behind the screen to in front of the screen. I don't mean to jump in here, but Amit, you got some competition with best hair in the Palantir game. I mean, I'm up there right now. I mean, my hair is not looking that good. I just rolled out of bed, but I want to throw that out there real quickly.
I love it. You
Adam,
got it. You got it.
link
Now,
for the...
I don't know if you want to just... yeah,
So
what's your name? What can we call you?
You have two Adams. You have Adam and Adam. Yes, you do. I am actually fortunate enough. I've met Adam in real life with Either Square. We met up for a drink when he was in the city. Definitely got to do that again soon, Adam. Meet up again. Pleasure meeting the Palantir community. I do a lot of Palantir research, as obviously you said. Appreciate that. I do dig up my fair share of patents. I felt that after, as you well know, because you've been here since day one, also when Rachi left, there was a hole that needed to be filled between the patents and the quote unquote government contracts that I kind of post as well. I don't understand it nearly as good as Rachi, but someone needed to go in there and fill that hole. So between that and just my overall digging with Palantir overall, I have a lot of Palantir information, and I definitely very much am looking forward to discussing, and very, very knowledgeable for the deep depths that is JADC2. So a little bit about patents and that. I have my Palantir cheat sheet, which we can never go through entirely because every time we go in there, it just gets bigger. So I do want to give one shout out real quickly before I forget. Bear Graham, thank you so much for the artwork. Appreciate my virtual background. Everybody follow Bear Graham. Great guy.
Do you like do you have a full-time job? Do you just invest all day? Do you research all day? Kind of how do you approach this?
I do have a full-time job. Somehow, some way, I'm able to do that. And this week, I actually took PTO, so I'm able to really
Gotcha.
just concentrate, work. I get up pretty early in the morning, so usually first thing in the morning, once I get out, when I'm done, showered, shaved, getting ready to go to the office, I first look to see what patents come out, see if anything is new. That's usually the first thing. I have 3 things I usually do in the morning. Check the
Okay, go ahead.
patents.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Check the patents. Check the PRs, if we got any PR, and any government contract that we would get from the FPDS. So all the quote unquote Department of Defense contracts that we get, those big ones, those don't come out till after 5 p.m. So I don't check those till after 5 p.m. Sometimes I forget, but that's usually my 3 things every day: patent, PR, government contract. Where are we at? And then normally I will just do some digging into the Palantir world. That really can lead down a rabbit hole and just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I was preparing for this yesterday, and when I was doing some research, I actually stumbled upon a new project that Palantir officially completed in June of this year. And we did get that the DoD contract in June. And overall, that contract was $200 million. But the work has officially been completed. So
Correct.
Now the question for us is, what happens now with this project that they did? And the project I'm referring to is Project Brown Heron, which I'm sure many people are not even familiar with at all. Project Brown Heron, long story short, it's basically electronic surveillance. And Palantir has been given this contract since 2021, I believe. So they just did it fully complete in June. So what happens now? Do they keep building on this surveillance program that they built? Are they going to get more money for this project, or is it going to get shifted? And
when did they get this $200 million? When was it officially awarded to them?
So they got the official 200. They got the official contract, I want to say, back in 2021. And they got the final payment, and it was complete as per the Department of the Defense in June 15th of this year. So a lot of the stuff, so they've been paid for the past few years. But now that one is done from a government defense military standpoint, and to be honest, as bullish as I am on Palantir, for the short term, I'm more bullish on the government, the defense, and the military contract, because there is so much defense spending that is coming our way. And there's so much stuff that Palantir is in the midst of built, or going to build going forward. And that's really what we're going to deep dive into.
So let's talk about patents first. Let's get into that discussion. So you're someone who finds patents every day. You look at patents. Can you give me a high-level overview of all the patents you're reading, everything you're seeing? What do you think is starting to become the intellectual property moat that Palantir has? Because they're applying for these patents for a reason. They don't want other people to do the same things they're doing, which is, a tech company's trying to get them moat. What do you think, through all your research, are the patents that they have that other companies would never be able to get, or if they tried to get, would be really hard to replicate?
I am probably the worst person to ask this question, to be honest, because I am probably one of the least technical investors in Palantir. I'm lucky I know how to turn my computer on. So when I read these patents, they are so way beyond my scope of technical understanding. And for the most part, when I do post the patents, I only post the first page. These patents, they tend to be 18 to 20 page PDFs. So I don't bother posting the full on scope of it, because no one's going to sit there and really read, page, 14. So that's why that overview is really the, basic of it. So a lot of my answer is going to just be my CARP bias on it, is they have developed the technology anyone else has in a more superior fashion. So it really comes down to, when you look at these patents and you're looking at data storage and data processes and how these systems communicate and what happens and the user interface, it's so beyond my, knowledge, to be honest with you. I just sit there, I read, I know it's Palantir. I look at the employee, I make sure it is a Palantir employee. Every now and then I might post one by accident that's not Palantir that just gets thrown in there, but 99.99%, they're all Palantir. But a lot of the stuff, it is really what Karp just says. If my understanding is correct, we're talking about stuff that has never been created before. And that is why the moat and the IP is so important. So with Apollo specifically, there is no technology, there is no system like Apollo. So whenever you get anything that is related to pushing stuff to the edge and having systems communicate, to me, it reads Apollo. And being that I'm not so knowledge-based in terms of tech, I do understand that within Foundry and within God mistaken, Apollo is integrated into those systems as a means to fresh out all the new data, push it to the right people, how they deliver everything. So I feel like a lot of the patents that we're seeing is related to Apollo in some fashion. I mean, I could be completely wrong. The biggest patent that I found that was easily the most easy one for me to understand and, of course, appreciate was the one related to the headset. So if you have been following me for some time, you probably have seen I was probably the first one to put out Palantir is working on AR, VR headset technology. And I got that through the patent. And that patent was back in May. And if I'm not mistaken, they filed for that patent back in 2019, 2020. So some of this stuff that they just received, they had been waiting 3-4 years to get this approval from the patent office. So some of the stuff they're applying for the patent, maybe March of 2023, and they're getting it, today. Some of the stuff is 2, 3, 4 years old. And the reason why I think it's taking so long is it's so new and it's so advanced that the people at the patent office are like, what? So it takes them such a long time to figure out what they are actually doing and selling, because they're not going to give a patent to somebody with work that doesn't work. So I think that is also the problem, is some of the stuff is just so technologically superior that they have no idea what they're looking at the patent office, just like me. But with the headset and the AR technology, first off, it was very blatant. It was very obvious. It said in the overview for AR, VR headset. And I was on that train and no one wanted to believe me. And then we finally got the confirmation at the Security for Government conference with the headset behind Karp. And the day before that, if you remember, they had, I believe, AIP, and Ted even mentioned something about a headset and said, yet. And then the next day, it gets released. So the patents are, you kind of have an idea where the company is going. You know what they're working on. You know what they're developing. You know what they're researching. You know, more importantly, this is what they deem as valuable, as resourceful, and is going to take them into the future. So I definitely would like more information. I know I don't want to say so headset heavy. I'd like to have more information about how it's going to go about, because we have very, very little info on it, even related to patents and whatnot. But it's so advanced. And the main thing is, and the beauty of it, when I was very happy, is they don't care about the hardware. They care more about integration into any system, into any hardware.
Right.
And they're going to capture.
From what I've noticed, they care about the operating system, the data ingestion port. Like, they're not going to make headsets. They don't give a shit about that. They care about, all right, when the headsets are made, how does that actually work on the battlefield and how it actually implicates things. Let's transition to government stuff. So this JAD C2 contract, can you explain what this is and when this journey with Palantir potentially getting this contract and how much it's worth started?
All right. So it's very hard for me to answer that in little terms. So I'll try to
go ahead. Take your time. You got it.
So and I did a Spaces yesterday where I did a whole breakdown of the Department of Defense. This came from the DoD, and you can look at my Twitter. They put out a report in June of their AI adoption strategy and what they're going to do once it's implemented. I did a whole breakdown on Spaces on that, and I recommend you either take a listen to the Spaces or look at the report itself. And the reason why I did it is the report is extremely general. And it doesn't say Palantir, it doesn't say Lockheed, it doesn't say Northrop, it has nothing of that. And the reason why they released it like that is precisely the question you just asked, JADC2. So let's first answer what that is. So it's an acronym. It stands for Joint All-Domain Command and Control, hence the C2, Command and Control. So the Army has a vision. It's called the 2030 Army Vision. That's it. That's the goal. Their whole purpose is to have a quote-unquote digital fighting force by 2030. They want the Army to be fully digitized by 2030. So obviously, we're only 6 years away from that. This year is basically done. Let's call it what it is. Right. So what exactly does that mean? That means that the entire United States Department of Defense, because what you have to understand is there's the Army, there's the Navy, there's the Air Force. It's different. So they are not just saying the Army is JADC2. They're all participating under this umbrella that is JADC2. And basically what happens is the Department of the Defense, they are putting out thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of future contracts from everybody from your hardware primes, like your Boeings, your Northrops, your Lockheeds, your Raytheons, to your software primes, which there isn't one yet, but we know one that will be coming in. They are the only IL-61, Palantir. You'll have Palantir. You'll have other like Calypso, some of the FedStart people. Maybe you'll have Anduril. Maybe you even have C3, as bad as we shit on them. I mean, the Department of Defense, they are very keen on making this happen. And if you look at my Twitter, I have tons of JADC2 info. So the problem is it's so large of a vision, and you're bringing together everybody that's going to participate within the United States and their allies. So we're talking about Australia, the UK, France. Everyone has to participate under this branch. So yesterday, when I was just doing some research, the National Defense Strategy, they put in obviously their budget for next year, fiscal year 24. They requested, I believe it was 1.4 billion for JADC2 for next fiscal year. So that's what they're planning on spending for next year for JADC2. And that 1.4 billion, that's going to go to companies, Palantir, Raytheon, all like that I mentioned. But the key thing
that's just for next year, right?
That's for next year, and that's in a few months. So what we need to understand is, and I really don't want to sound egotistical because I do not have a big ego. I don't think anyone truly understands the size and the scope of how big this is. And I'm going to read my little tweet that I put out yesterday about Titan. And this falls under the JADC2 umbrella. And
wait, so Titan is not separate from JADC2? It's underneath that overall contract?
Correct. So what
and it ties into SOCOM as well as like a side chain is SOCOM. It's modernizing the entire military for all domains, and they actually added to it. Not only is it JADC, they added a few letters where they're actually giving it to our allies, and they're going to coordinate all domains plus allies, which, and this is just throwing something out of left field. There's a lot of reports coming out of Israel that they've never been so coordinated, that on the field, they're making a phone call within seconds. Air Force is coming in and shooting and bombing with precision within like 50 feet of soldiers on the ground, that they're not hitting actual soldiers. And it's being coordinated Navy, Air Force, and ground force. And it sounds like a mini JADC coming out right when JADC expanded to say we're going to be working with our allies and giving them the technology if they're our allies, which I'm just speculating, but it sounds like what's happening in Israel right now is actually a form of the JADC for our allies.
So let me just piggyback off of that, just so everyone can kind of understand where the JADC2 stands. So picture an umbrella, and the JADC2 is the top of the umbrella. And then you have your stems that build the umbrella out. I'm forgetting the term. So there's 3 code names that we all need to understand. And this is really how you're able to connect it all. And this is how I said I can go down a rabbit hole every 5 minutes. So The Army has Project Convergence. That is their code name for the JADC2 program for the Army. Titan falls under Project Convergence. So the Titan program, once it is officially awarded, whether that is to Palantir or that is to whomever it might be, I mean, granted, I'm going to assume it's going to be Palantir, but when they got the award in 2021, 2022 for the second phase, I just want you to listen to the words. My dog's going fucking nuts right now.
He's excited about Palantir. He's like, he's getting this contract, baby.
You should only hear him. So this is Palantir's words, not mine. And this is what I think everybody needs to understand about Titan. Just give me 1 second. I'm looking for it.
The DoD has been trying to go paperless since 2008. Good luck. Well, yeah, it seems like P. Morton. That's why.
No, I'm pretty good at getting all my stuff. So the Titan. This is Palantir. This is probably Akash Jain speaking, the head of Palantir United States government, not me. The Titan program brings together a variety of systems, technologies, and vendors to ensure scalability. Palantir's modular open system architecture will be a critical backbone. So the entire JADC2 from Project Convergence is related to Titan. So the main concept of JADC2 is basically what Adam was touching on, is the entire Department of Defense wants to be able to find a target, watch the target, plan for the target, and then maneuver and get ready to attack said target. And that was a great example that Adam just gave, it's three different divisions. So you have the Army with Project Convergence, and that's going to be Titan. Then you have the Navy, that's Project Overmatch. That's going to be their contribution to JADC2. And then you have the Air Force with Advanced Battle Management System. So you have the three different divisions. Those are their contributions to JADC2. Project Convergence, Project Overmatch, and then Advanced Battle Management System. Now, if Palantir does not win Titan, I will go on record right now. That is extremely, 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 extremely bad. And it is much worse look than if they lost NHS.
Why?
I will repeat that. If they lost NHS, they can still do work with those hospitals if the hospitals choose to do so, unless the UK changes some rule or whatever that bans Palantir. The United Kingdom's Royal Marines, their army, they are already on Palantir. So everyone over there, they have no idea what they're talking about. The military is powered by Palantir over there, basically.
Right.
So if they look at the hospital system can still use it if they choose to be, unless the United Kingdom changes their rules or laws. And granted, I live in New York. I don't know the United Kingdom rules or laws, so I might be wrong there. If they lost Titan, everything that they said about the government and their defense and military would not come to fruition. It would be that the technology is not what we as an investor think it is or what they are claiming it to be. And we've been sold the bill of goods. And that would be a very bad look. They can split Titan, and that would be okay. If they do not win it, it's bad. Because we're talking about, like I said before, it is impossible to understand the amount of money that is coming. When Karp says the whole pie, JADC2 is the pie. So next year, they're getting $1.4 billion. I'm just throwing this at you right now. I looked at yesterday, the United States Space Force, which, we do a lot of work with, which we're very well connected with, that we have a ton of. They requested, this is just one division. They requested for the next 5 years, $1.2 billion for long-range kill chains. That's one little thing in this division. And who do we know that loves to do anything with targeting kill chains and at the edge and at the furthest possible place in, I don't even know if it's Earth, but in Earth's orbit? Palantir. So who do you think is coming to get this $1.2 billion? I mean, are they going to get all of it? No. I mean, are they going to get like 200, 300 million related to it? Probably.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep building off of that. And if you remember,
You're
2-3
talking about
weeks
the
ago-
I'm sorry to interrupt. You're talking about that massive contract for Space Force in general that they listed like 50 different companies?
So no. This is complete. So they got the 3 contracts from Space Force a couple months ago for like $150 million, if you remember.
Yeah.
But this isn't out yet. This is just me doing my research. The
Okay.
Space Force division is asking the fiscal office for the next 5 years, $1.2 billion in long-range targeting kill chain technology. That's Meta Constellation. So
Can I stack
unless there's
that for
another
you?
one out there, what was
Can
that?
I stack it? I want to stack that. That's really good research. Besides for that, they mentioned Space Force. It was like, bro, I want to say like almost $1 billion, like a $900 something million program, Space Force and Air Force. And they are spending that to invest and maintain. And if I did the math on one of my videos, that I estimated of the 900 million, like 300 to 400 million is going to go to Palantir based on the existing contracts and maintaining the existing systems. And that's stacked with what Adam is saying. I'm with him in my mindset that everyone's concentrating on commercial, which is the future. But in the immediate future, bro, it's going to be fucking massive government growth, military, not just domestically, but abroad, which is what we were lacking in. And you can see it. It's going to go to NATO. It's going to go to European Union. It's going to go in the Middle East. Guys, not just Israel, bro. UAE right now, Saudi Arabia, they're going to be working right now with America. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
Very interesting to see how that relationship goes going forward, to be honest. I wouldn't hold my breath for anything in the Middle East at the current moment. I understand they got to play geopolitics right now, and CARP is going to stay and align with the West. So this is where it gets tough.
Where I'm going with this is because the Saudi Arabia and let's talk about Saudi Arabia. They keep increasing ties with Israel because they're shooting down a lot of missiles going towards Israel. And if I'm not mistaken, they even had like 2 flags and they left the Israeli flag up and like, they're like, nope, we are going to stay. You could see that the rhetoric, and I'm not trying to be political, guys. I'm really trying not to, but you could see their support is shifting towards Israel. Maybe it's because they see Israel is doing what everyone thought it wasn't going to happen, real quick, in, out, taking over Gaza and protecting civilians coming out, showing the world, whatever. But as they're going to increase relationships with Israel, America's going to increase their technology with Saudi Arabia, military technology, specifically what's happening in Yemen right now that's Iranian-backed. Again, I believe that there's going to be increased government spending, not just domestically, but abroad, and not just in Europe, also in the Middle East, and not just Israel. That's all I'm saying, that there's more opportunities in the Middle East. But anyways, I'm sorry. Keep going.
So, and no, that was perfect, because what a lot of people don't understand, and that's fine, especially for people like us who actually spend all our lives invested in Palantir, and we still don't even understand half the time, which is okay. But you have to remember, when Palantir first came into being, quote unquote, Palantir, they had to sue the Pentagon to get in, and they won. And that was a huge thing. And what that led them to get, obviously, other than their foot in the door, and to start saying, dude, your technology is not as superior, not as good. You have to try us out. That basically catapulted them into this potential software prime. So 2 of the systems that you need to talk about, and Adam piggybacked off about stacking them together, is Project Maven and Warp Core. So what a lot of people don't realize is all this stuff is so new. And I spoke about this in my spaces, adopting AI, implementing AI, using it. They didn't start commissioning this stuff, like really commissioning it, like a board and a committee and reports, till 2018. Like that's only 5 years ago. That's not very, especially in the military, that's basically yesterday. So it's very new. So Google was originally doing Project Maven. And basically what happened with Google and Project Maven is a bunch of and I'll try not to be political, the woke liberal people, they didn't like Google working with the government and doing Project Maven.
That's not political. That's fact, right? They didn't want that.
I'm trying to be on my best behavior. Trust me. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So they left, and Google said to the government, screw you, we're not touching this anymore. Our employees are carrying a tantrum. It's not worth it. But they'll go and continue working with fucking China. Okay, great. So,
Right.
So Palantir, they picked up Project Maven. And basically what Project Maven did was it was able to bring all these different data silos together and do what Palantir does basic level, bring it together into one single glass pane of truth so that the commander or whomever, the operator, they can look at all the information and then they can make a decision. So that's basically what Project Maven is. It's how to deploy algorithms and AI and machine learning to get all the info together and then make a decision. Basic Palantir 101. But because they were able to do it so good and so quickly, remember, I wasn't in the room. I'm going to assume they took everything Google made and they probably just threw it out. Or maybe they built on some of the stuff, because I can't imagine, them wanting to build that on Gotham. I just can't picture it. Maybe I'm wrong. But because Maven was so successful, they were able to then get all these other divisions and groups within, the DoD to look at them, which led them to get Warp Core. Now, Project Warp Core is really what got them into the Space Force. And what is Warp Core? It's basically the Space Force version of Maven. So it's really, but because they have done such a good job and they're able to deploy it and scale it regardless, it's very easy for them to move on and they have the success on it. But because they're working off of Warp Core has been in work since 2021. So they're not going to get rid of it. Like that 1.2 billion, it's probably going to get built on Warp Core, this targeting kill chain. They'll probably build it. It's probably already halfway done with Gotham Europa and Meta Constellation. They probably just need a few lines of code and it's probably done. They're that talented. They know where it's going. But that is the key thing. That's why they have to win Titan, because if they don't win Titan, everything that's connected to JADC2 is just lost right then and there. Because Titan's job is to be on the battlefield and seeing rockets are being fired at us, the sensors, everything. So all of it is being able to see what is coming. And we've seen prototypes of Titan. Like, we've seen it at the booth. We've seen it at events. What's the chances that there's a prototype in Ukraine right now? It's really not that far-fetched to think that there might be one there. Is it likely? Maybe not, because it's not a fully complete thing. But part of the reason why I felt like they didn't want the war to end so quickly is they want to test these technologies. And they have been testing a lot of new stuff. So you might have even seen it when they released the DoD. They want to put in that big replicator swarm drone, 10,000 drones coming at an enemy. That is what the future of warfare is trying to be. Less people on the battlefield, more people hunkered in a bunker controlling a drone. And that is what they want JADC2 to be able to do. Because if you have people in Australia, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Washington, Belgium, Paris, London, and the battlefield is all the way in Yemen, and you're just sending 20,000 drones at them, and each drone is running on perfectly made AI that the drone can make its own decision of, I got to go left, I got to go right. But the operator still has the ultimate decision to do the kill. That is where they're going. And that is what they need. And because it's such a big piece of the pie, Palantir is not going to make drones and make drone technology. Skydio, the people that did the SkyKit drone portion for Palantir, they did the drones. They might get that, but it will be running through Gotham in some shape or form. Everything is going to have to come through this one single glass pane for JADC2 to be perfect, because everyone needs to see the same exact thing on the battlefield. If Adam is an operator in Ukraine and he's seeing real live data and he's saying, all right, I got to move my squadron to this river over here, and I'm over here in New York and I'm on his side, but I don't see it, we are not going to be able to communicate. The decisions won't work. So everything needs to come together. So that's why going forward, if you see Project Convergence, Overmatch, Linchpin is a relatively new one that's going to award money for Titan. they have said that Project Linchpin isn't going to start giving out money till fiscal year 2024. And the first one is going to be the Titan winner. So there's money being allocated for this already. And the biggest reason that Titan is so much more important than NHS is we just got that $250 million JADC2 contract a couple weeks ago. They would not award Palantir $250 million to build and to not give it to them. It doesn't make any sense that they would say, here's $250 million, but in a month from now, we're going to give the contract to Raytheon and C3. It does not make any sense. They
mentioned it on earnings. Remember, Amit, we mentioned that they mentioned Titan program and a partnership for something, and we're
Northrop.
like, well, if Titan was dead, why would they be mentioning Titan? Like, in theory, they wouldn't be talking about it on the earnings call, which is fresh. Correct. Again, that's just connecting dots. But you remember we were saying that.
Right. So Titan itself is going to lead to the JADC2 because they're going to have billions of dollars come in for this. And if we're going to stick by the Department of the Defense vision, 2030, 6 years, we're going to see some serious money roll through in the next couple of years. So if you want to be a fully digitized force by 2030, the ball needs to move now, because not only do you need to get those technologies in and up and running, you need to improve them, and you need to get them at scale, and you need to get them at speed, and you need to get them to where it's worth it for the warfighter. Because if the warfighter, I can't see around this corner good enough, or the maneuverability, it's done. It's not going to work. That's why when I post a lot of the HoloLens IVAS stuff, obviously, granted now there'll be a little bit different take because we do have, our set is a lot of it was concentrated on what the warfighter was saying. So that first version, they were saying it was heavy, I was nauseous, it was bad. And then that's why the Department of Defense, they were ready to spend $20 billion on this, $20 billion. And they were like, whoa, we're not ready to spend this if it's not up to par. So they were like, all right, we'll give you $40 million. And Microsoft, they made improvements, and good for them. But to where it needs to be, I don't know. They might turn around and they might say to Microsoft, we love the hardware, but we're going to go with Palantir software. And they might get $10 billion contract. So this is what I'm saying to all the people. You do not know when that big money is coming for Palantir. In history, since it's been public, our biggest contract is about $1 billion, that $890 million contract they got like 2 years ago. In government terms, $1 billion, chump change. So it's going to come. So the short-term military context is way more bullish, in my opinion. It's just so much stuff. Obviously, it's a lot of politics, but there is so much going on behind the scenes. It's coming.
So Adam, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because we got to wrap up in like 2 minutes. But Karp on a podcast once, he said, or on an earnings call, I think it was CNBC interview, whatever. He was like, it was like a government CAGR'd at 30% year over year for the past decade. But some years it was 0%, some years it was 80%. And when you average it out, it ended up being 30%. And so he was trying to make the point to the interviewer that's like, look, I know you think government revenue is not good right now, but there's a lot of money and we can't control when they give it. But if we're in the running and we get it all at once, it'll average out. Is that kind of how you think the next decade's going to play out? There's a lot of money and eventually it'll come every year, maybe not certain years, but different years it'll come.
I would say it's going to come in a more quicker and more lump sum than we're used to seeing. And the reason behind that is, and this is no shocker, the world is a much scarier place today than it was when they went public. And more importantly, they have proven within Russia, Ukraine, and they're going to prove their worth again with Israel, Hamas, and going on over there, is the technology work. It provides results. And the key thing that matters in war is to win. And they cannot lollygag. They cannot take time. They need to get this stuff out, and they need to get it up to battle ready today. So I think we're going to see a lot of government contracts come through in the next 6 years or so. Are we going to get a lot of 3-5 year, $400-500 million? Yes, that's probably going to happen. But I think we're going to see a lot of yearly big money come also, because all these departments, they're going to get JADC2 money. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force, they have their JADC2 umbrella. The Air Force is way more over than the Army and the Navy. The Navy is way behind right now in Project Overmatch. It's going to come. And maybe it's $200 million a year. Maybe it's $400 million a year. But the billions are coming. And they need Titan for
guys,
that.
We want to shout out the Palantir Discord. Adam runs the Palantir Discord with his team, a bunch of them, but he's like one of the main people there. So check out the Discord. It's really cool. Ether Square, there is a lot. I believe Arnie goes in there. Really, really good wealth of knowledge for sure.
Please
thank you for coming on, Adam. Everyone, please make sure to check out this Discord. I'm highlighting that link in the chat right now. You can join and add more Palantir than you're getting every day if you're part of that Discord. Adam's Twitter, also here, Palantir's Palantir, and then the other Adam, Mr.
Even more Palantir.
Even more
Who
Palantir.
doesn't like not enough Palantir talk?
I don't know. No, this was awesome, man. Thank you for coming down and breaking. Yeah, thank you for coming down and breaking these contracts, because I think what
don't you have a show on Friday nights, Amit?
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk some more Palantir?
Yeah, if you're ready to join, man, we would love to have you on.
I don't have date night Friday. If you're more than willing to suffer through me again, I'm more than happy to do it. My wallet says thank you, so I'll gladly join that.
Yeah, because I think what you're highlighting is there's so much money, and average investors, like, we don't know, just like this Bitcoin thing, right? Like, Adam's been screaming about Bitcoin for a long time. It's up now, and like he knew about it, and now people are like, oh, Bitcoin's a real thing, right? Like, I think that might happen in the context of Palantir when you get a $1.5 billion. You're like, what the hell? There's $1.5 billion for the Space Force? Like, yeah, there is. And it's like, this is the due diligence that you got to know before it goes down. So
Titan
what do
is
you think
going
is
to
going to
be a
happen when
$1 billion
Trump comes
contract.
back?
What do you say?
Trump is going to spend a lot more. Whatever we're spending, Trump is going to surpass like a mofo to avoid any future wars.
And Adam, go ahead.
Titan is $1 billion on its own. Just saying.
Yes.
Titan is that's going to be the first one with a nice B next to its name. And more coming. And if I was any Palantir investor, I recommend joining the Discord. There is a lot of knowledge in there, not just me. I encourage more people to join because I don't want to talk to myself, especially on a finance side or just Palantir overall. I don't want to confirm my caution bias, but recommend join. Chad's in there all the time, making us laugh and whatnot with his memes. Got great people like Either, Grim, Arnie. Obviously, you too. I know Adam jumps in from time to time. I know you're a busy man, and I know I feel your pain when you go to CVS trying to get deodorant, so I know it takes longer.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be back tomorrow on the Market Open. Big news of the day. NHS deal has been announced, but not officially. The UK blogs are reporting it's done. Palantir getting it. I'll have a Palantir Daily episode coming out a little bit later today talking about if this deal is going to be official pretty soon. Thank you, Adam, for being here. We'll probably talk to you a little bit later. And
Thank you.
Make sure you follow the Discord, follow their Twitters, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.